Black Lives Matter is back in the news after the deaths of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. Now let's get this straight. Unlike the political vultures on the left and the white supremacists on the right, I actually care about black people not being killed. So listen up. Despite what Black Lives Matter agitators tell you, despite the media narrative, police brutality impacts all races, not just black people. Yes, these situations are tragic and the videos are horrific, but the facts clearly prove that you're being lied to. Of all the people shot dead in the US in 2016 so far, 24% were black. Black people make up around 13% of the population, but they commit around half of violent crimes like homicides. Law-breaking black Americans are 5 to 10 times more likely to put themselves in close proximity to mostly white police officers. So you'd expect there to be more violent confrontations between black males and white police officers. But so far in 2016, almost double the number of whites have been killed by cops compared to blacks. Only 3% of black people shot dead by police in 2016, just 13 in total were unarmed. If there was a nationwide epidemic of racist white cops shooting black people, these figures would be far higher, because the percentage of unarmed white people shot dead by cops is exactly the same, 3%. So cops are shooting dead unarmed whites and blacks at exactly the same rate. There's no racial disparity. Do we have a problem with police brutality in America? Yes, undoubtedly. Is it almost exclusively targeted towards black people, as Black Lives Matter claims? No, but the polarizing way in which Black Lives Matter made it all about race has divided the nation and made half of the country completely disinterested. Black people, Black Lives Matter is not helping you. It's doing incredible harm. Martin Luther King achieved justice and civil rights for black people by championing equality and building bridges with white America.
We will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands.
What does Black Lives Matter do? They promote segregation. They refuse service to white people who are trying to help them. They ban white people from their meetings. They call for killing white cops. They built their entire movement around a proven fraud. The idea that Michael Brown was just an innocent kid who was shot dead with his hands up, despite being pushed by the media, despite being embraced by Black Lives Matter. Hands up, don't shoot was proven to be totally false. Yet they built their whole movement on it. They alienate their own allies. They hijack other civil rights events to bully and intimidate people. They label people who say all lives matter as racists. They polarize, they divide, they race bait.
After videos emerged of her declaring, quote, open season on crackers, and suggesting people start walking up on untrained police officers and stealing their weapons.
Why do you think the establishment white-owned media is encouraging you to riot in your own neighborhoods? Why are they encouraging you to burn down and loot businesses owned by other black people?
Yeah, so they burning up every store in this town.
Why is Black Lives Matter funded by white billionaire elitists like George Soros? They don't want us to unite. They don't want black people to prosper. They want to keep you in the ghetto, dependent on welfare, dependent on the government. So you'll never have any real political power outside of Democratic Party-controlled mouthpieces like former FBI informant Al Sharpton. You've been completely betrayed by your own political class. Since Ferguson, murders in cities like Baltimore have increased, while police numbers have decreased because cops have abandoned these areas, thanks to the violent rhetoric being promoted by Black Lives Matter. More black people are dying at the hands of other blacks since Black Lives Matter began. If Black Lives Matter, why are 90% of black people killed by other black people? If Black Lives Matter, why are there no protests over the numerous black people killed by other black people in Chicago every single weekend? It would take cops 40 years to kill as many black men as those who died at the hands of other black men in 2012 alone. If Black Lives Matter, why have you allowed your entire culture to be based around the glorification of criminal behaviour? If Black Lives Matter, why do you idolise and exalt wannabe gangsters waving guns around? If Black Lives Matter, why does your culture inform kids that getting into violent confrontations with cops is cool? Both Alton Sterling and Philando Castile were gang members, or at least professed their adoration for the Bloods and the Crips. Whatever the details in the deaths of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile, just know this: so long as you insist that anyone who is concerned about police brutality is also somehow mandated to support Black Lives Matter, you'll never win the debate. And nothing will ever change. Black people will continue to be killed by cops, by other black people, by a culture that teaches them that acting like a thug is cool. A culture that was created by the very same elites that fund MTV, that fund the entertainment industry, the very same political class that bankrolls Black Lives Matter.